Welcome back to They Will Kill You. Today's special guest is Martin from Nightmare Fuel.
Thanks for having me on, man. Stay tuned at the end of this video to check out my channel.
Number 7. Lavender Town Syndrome. Also known as the Lavender Town Suicides, this creepypasta is centered on an increase in illness and suicides among children in Japan between the ages of 7 to 12 following the release of Pokemon Red and Green on February 27, 1996. According to the creepypasta, once a child reaches a level in the game called Lavender Town, they would hear its theme music that contained extremely high frequencies. These frequencies can only be heard by young teens and children due to their higher hearing sensitivity than adults. It then details how at least 200 children committed suicide by jumping from heights or hanging themselves after hearing the lavender tone, and that many others suffered from severe headaches as well as other afflictions and illnesses. The game's programmers thus developed a new theme song for this level after the reported incidents. As the story goes, the original audio track of Lavender Town was analysed in 2010 using special audio software. Towards its end, the theme music produced images of Unown. Unown is a Pokemon that has the shape of an eye, and through its appendages resembles a symbol or letter. This was considered controversial due to the fact that it was a Pokemon released only in the second generation of games several years later. Number 6. The LSD Dream Emulator. Linking the Sapient Dream, or LSD, is a first-person perspective game set in a 3D environment developed for the PlayStation console. An artist working for the game's production company, named Hiroko Nashikawa, had been keeping a dream journal for over a decade, and this is what the LSD Dream Emulator is based on. The game is set in a dream world where players can interact with any object, which usually results in them being transported almost instantly to a different environment. This system is referred to as linking. Bumping into animals or people will commonly produce a more surreal environment. The dream worlds also feature a number of strange creatures, such as a celestial nymph that flies through the air, a pterodactyl, a gigantic man that fills up an entire room, and a man dressed in a grey trench coat and hat, which players refer to as the Shadow Man or the Grey Man. One particular creepypasta regarding the game involves someone who plays a copy of the game through an emulator and starts experiencing increasingly more bizarre occurrences in the dream worlds. After encountering the Grey Man, the player sees 2 red dots glaring from under his hat. A white flash appears and the player is taken back to one of the game's first levels. But instead of the normal textures on the walls, he sees images of real-life murderers, children being torn to pieces, cannibalism, rape, torture, and a Japanese man using a hammer to break his own fingers. The player walks through the corridor and the images get progressively worse the deeper he goes, with the music becoming more distorted. On the walls, he sees even more gruesome acts, such as a pregnant woman cutting out their own fetuses and people eating pieces of a young child. Despite his urge to vomit, the player eventually reaches the end of a corridor that shows a line of text before fading to black. He copies the link, which then sends him to a page showing a picture of the Grey Man at the bottom, along with Japanese writing. The player asks one of his friends who had lived in Japan to translate the writing for him. The link does not work anymore, and thus, the player shows his friend a copy of the writing he has made. Horrified, his friend told him that it said, "You have seen the man as he is. What he did to me as I slept, as I dreamed his dark nightmare. You have also seen it. Those violent images were him. He had no form, only the dream man. He caused all this, those events in the images. He took those innocent and possessed them. He made them do it. He made them make that game. Grey, 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 grey." His friend urged him not to tell anyone about it. Several weeks pass and the player learns that his friend travelled back to Japan to murder LSD's head designer Osamu Sato, then proceeded to commit suicide. Number 5. Earthbound. Several creepypasta stories that have been circulating the internet concern the final boss in the video game Earthbound. The final stage of the game, called the Devil's Machine, is considered by some to resemble a woman's cervix, while the third form of Gygus, the final boss, has been said to look like the outline of a human fetus. The imagery has been interpreted by some as having an anti-abortion message. Others believe the main character travelled back in time to fight the boss in his more vulnerable form in order to successfully abort him before having the chance to become more powerful. Shigesato Otoy, the game's creator, said that Gygus was actually based on something he saw when he was a child after walking into the wrong cinema theatre. He had witnessed the murder scene from the film The Japanese Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty, but at the time he thought it was a rape scene. The images would shock Itoi, and his interpretation of what he had seen would ultimately turn into Giygas. Giygas' lines during the battle, such as "I feel good" or "it hurts," have been cited by some as being indicative of the darker twist the game allegedly has to it. Number 4. Super Mario 128. This creepypasta begins with the developers' alleged intention to give the game more mature, violent content in order to keep up with their competition. A player manages to get his hands on a beta copy of the Super Mario 128 game and soon finds out how horrifying it really is. It begins with a message from Bowser saying, "Mario, I have taken Princess Peach and she will not live to see the sunrise tomorrow unless you take her place. You know what to do and where to go. Do not try to stop me unless you want to hasten her death." The environment is darker than any other Mario had appeared in. As the player progresses, everything becomes more realistic, with people starting to give Mario angry, cold expressions. It ends with a Bowser that is more grotesque than any of his previous versions, stabbing Mario with his claws and eating him, but the killing takes place without any bloodshed. The final image shows Mario in a black space and the image of a tombstone with the word "Innocence" engraved on it. The creepypasta is said to allude to the idea that innocence is lost in current video games, and that the content keeps getting more graphic. Number 3. Herobrine. Widely known throughout the Minecraft gaming community, Herobrine has been the subject of creepypasta and speculations for quite some time. The character is a white-eyed human entity that bears the likeness to a dead miner. According to the game's developers, Herobrine is not part of Minecraft, and the character was removed from the final version of the game. Still, many players claim that Herobrine has appeared to them while they were playing. There have been several pranks and situations where some would use the Herobrine skin to scare other players. The existence of phantom players who do not have name tags has been explained as a probable result of mob glitches. Marcus Persson, also known as Notch, is Minecraft's creator and was among the founders of the Mojang gaming company in 2010. In the most popular Herobrine creepypasta, the character was speculated to be the ghost of Notch's dead brother. Notch had told numerous Minecraft fans in one of his tweets that Herobrine was not real, and that he had never had a brother, except for a half-brother who he had never met. Nevertheless, various creepypastas and reported sightings have continued to emerge online. There are two ways in which Herobrine is said to appear. One version is that Herobrine stalks the player and disappears as soon as he is spotted, and that Herobrine becomes visible if the render distance is placed to tiny. Another version is that of Dead Constructor, in which Herobrine would manipulate the in-game world in order to leave the player hints regarding his whereabouts. These include building sand pyramids in the middle of the ocean and trees without any leaves. In most Minecraft fan books, videos and movies, Herobrine commonly appears as the antagonist. Number 2. Ben Drowned. Haunted Majora's Mask, or Ben Drowned, is a popular creepypasta about a haunted Legend of Zelda Mask of Majora Nintendo 64 cartridge. It was posted in a thread by 4chan user JadUsable on September 7, 2010. As the story goes, while he was in college, JadUsable received a suspicious-looking Majora's Mask cartridge from an old man. He went to his dormitory to play the game and noticed a file of a saved game with the name Ben on it. He ignored it at first, but soon noticed that despite creating a new saved game file, the in-game character kept calling him Ben. JadUsable believed that deleting the Ben file would fix the problem, but after doing so, the character did not refer to his name at all. After using a glitch in the game that enabled players to get another day, he was transported to the final boss battle. He noticed that the text was not displaying properly, and that he could hear that a reserved version of the game's song, Song of Healing, was playing. JadUsable was then teleported to Clocktown, where he noticed that apart from the distorted music and missing textures, none of the regular characters were present in the town, and it was completely empty. The game became increasingly creepier the more he played it. According to the creepypasta, the copy of the game was haunted by the soul of a boy called Ben, who had died in a drowning accident. He revealed himself to JadUsable via Cleverbot, which is an AI capable of holding conversations with users as if it was a real person. Ben then allegedly began controlling JadUsable's computer and his posts, stating an ability to spread everywhere. In the end, the player decides to rid himself of the spirit and limits its influence by burning his laptop and the Mask of Majora's cartridge. The story became very popular, and catchphrases such as "you shouldn't have done that" or "you've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" became frequent among 4chan users. Number 1. Polybius. Polybius is a creepypasta regarding a 1981 arcade game. The game was developed by a company called Sinnerschlossen, or German for sense deletion. It was a cross between a shoot-'em-up and a puzzle game, similar to Tempest in gameplay, and was only released to a couple of suburban areas in Portland, Oregon. The game's popularity caused people to form long lines just to play it. Before long, people started reporting strange things regarding the game. Players claim being able to hear a woman crying or seeing grotesque, horrifying faces out of the corner of their eyes during flashes. Players started experiencing blackouts, amnesia, nausea, headaches, and nightmares. A number of them reportedly committed suicide, while others completely gave up playing video games, even becoming anti-video game activists. As the story goes, one arcade owner who had the Polybius game installed claimed that men in black suits would come and collect information from the cabinet. They were not at all interested in the money the machine had collected, but instead were only concerned about the gameplay data. This led to a theory that Polybius was part of a government experiment on the use of subliminal messages. Strangely, all of the cabinets mysteriously vanished only 1 month after the game's release. There have also been rumours of Polybius games resurfacing, only to quickly disappear again soon after. There have been attempts of recreating the game, but the original ROM has never been found.
Jessa is all alone. She sits in her room waiting for them to come back. Her parents went out tonight after hearing the news that her big brother, Daniel, was involved in an accident. The last time Jessa saw Daniel, he had sped off on his motorcycle, mad at their parents.